Welcome to the Rocket Roof Show, where we equip fellow roofers to do more commercial business every first and third Thursday of the month. It's time to launch your business to the next level.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Roof Show, where we strive to equip and educate roofing contractors to enter the commercial roofing industry. So glad to have you guys back today. So glad for all of our listeners that follow this podcast. It's been a fun ride. And today we have an exciting guest on the show today, Francisco Armenta, which actually was kind of a fluke because we were just chatting today about maybe a future episode he'd be on. And the guest that I had lined up today got pulled over by the cops on the way to the show. So it's funny how these things work out. So welcome to the show, Francisco.
I gotta be careful what I ask for. You know, I
That's
don't
right.
want to run into $2.5 million. You know, if that were to be the case, you know, maybe 3 would be okay.
Yep. So I think what makes this show a little bit unique is that we're raw, we're genuine. I mean, you can see Francisco's riding in his van. I mean, he's doing this every day, the roofing company, and which is kind of funny because that's the name of his company, is the roofing company. And so so I'm just going to start off by welcoming you to the show, and yeah, I'm gonna start off. How did you get started in the roofing trade? Give me a little bit of a backdrop of how you got into roofing.
Probably like most guys that were just gonna do this for a summer or a 2-week gig, and then you know, I did $200 for my first week, and then my boss says, "Hey, if you keep it up, I'll give you a $20 raise for the week." And I thought it was a lot of money, you know, 10% raise. I said, nobody's going to give you that. And then I stuck around for another week, and they gave me $220. And by the end of the summer, I was making $800, and in the warehouse, I was making like $270, $260. So there's no reason for me to. It was more than anything the money that attracted me, but it was more than anything that I was getting paid for what I was able to produce, not by somebody's time or anything like that.
Yeah. Awesome. So why did you stay in the trade? Because I know with a lot of roofers, you see these jokes about, you know, this is what I look like when I'm 20. And then, you know, when you're 30, you look like you're 80 years old. So why did, you know, it's hard on your body, and it's a hard trade to be in long term. So why did you stay in the trade?
It's really unlimited potential, you know, like, I know a lot of people about like people getting low balls on prices, but it's your mind and mentality that attracts those type of people. That, you know, if you think everybody's cheap, you're gonna attract a lot of cheap customers, or a lot of people that just want to be paid out a lot of money. And it really is what you see in your vision is what you're really attracting. You know, cheap customers, bad customers. You think it's, you know, everybody's like that, and it's just your mentality. You know, you might have a good customer, and then you had a bad experience with another one, and you say, well, it's going to be $8,000, and then you end up doing the job, you know, because you talked yourself into doing a job for a specific amount. Then, you still here?
I think we lost you. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, okay. I had a call coming in, and then, you know, it's more than anything how people set themselves up to whatever they want. You know, like, I know I go off on a rant, but I just really wanted to jump on here to express, you know, like some of the stuff you say really hits hard,
Yep.
and it's really deep, even though you think you're just going on off for a rant, but it's a lot of emotion that you put behind it because you're either going through it or you've been through it, and it frustrates you to see another person going through the same thing. I see a lot of people complain about cheap customers, bad customers, and they don't really ask the right questions, like how can you make this customer's experience better? You know, like how could this go smoother? You know,
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, you know, that gave me hope, is that I know I can do every day. I can get better as a roofer, as a business owner, as a family man. You know, every day I can get better. And roofing is life, and life is everything's connected. That's what I'm trying to get to. Is you know, that's why I decided to stick to it. I realized I was good at it and decided to be great at it when I asked my foreman, there should be some kind of special person that can do like troubleshoot all these mechanical stuff on the roofs. And he turns around, looks at me, and says, "You dumbass, we are the experts." I was like, "Oh shit, you're right."
I think that's what I think that's we have a problem with roofing contractors sometimes. Not everybody, but a lot of us. We don't see ourselves as the expert. When you go to the doctor, and they're looking at your kidney or they're looking at your lungs, he's going to say, "Well, this is the problem you got, and this is what I'm going to recommend." And they write you a prescription. And with a lot of roofing contractors, they're like, "Well, the customer wants this kind of metal, so that's what I'm going to do." or the customer wants this crappy Band-Aid repair, so that's what I'm going to do. Instead, I just learned a number of years ago, this is what I recommend, and I don't go cheaper than that. If the customer's like, "Well, can you just do this or cheaper?" No, that this is what I recommend. This is what my company can stand behind. And so you really filter out a lot of your customers that are not really your customers by just selecting them.
Yeah. One of the things that I like to do is, and I hope you have enough time. One of the things I like to do is when I go and consult with them, first of all, I think I'm consulting. I'm not there to bid a stuff, I'm going to see what they really want. A lot of times they'll be like, "Well, I like standing seam, but I want to know the price for shingle because that's all that I can afford." And then I tell them, "Well, here's the price for the standing seam. Here's the price for the shingles." Ultimately, you should make this decision one time in your life. And I hope you make a decision that you will be happy with. It might cost you money, but it could cost you regret. And that's one of the things they really, I have a lot of customers that will call me years later because then they can afford the roof they really wanted and they held off. And I'm glad they held off because, it kind of sucks to be like, I got a new roof, but it's not what I wanted, because it's too much money to be not satisfied with what you're paying for,
Yep. So you used to work for somebody else for a while, and at one point in time you decided to work on your own. What made that mind shift? What motivated you to say, "You know what, I'm going to stop working for somebody else"? And also what gave you the idea that you had the guts to do it? Because I see some guys that are very knowledgeable, but they just do not have the cojones to start their own company.
Well, the reason I left was because I wanted a promotion. I wanted to do sales, and I told my superintendent. So I was a foreman, and then their superintendent, then their sales. You go to the office, and the superintendent was in charge of about 8 or 10 foremen, depending on how many people we had. And I told my superintendent, "Hey, Jefe, I'd like to be put in sales." And then he said, "You can't go in sales because you got another 10 or 15 years out in the field." So then I told him, "Well, how about assistant superintendent?" He said, "You're not gonna take my job." That's what he said. He said, "You're not taking my job, And I said, "I don't want your job. It's just asking to be. I want to grow further. I'm a great foreman. I'm a great roofer, and I take charge, and I like what I do. I just feel that I'm ready for the next level." And he said, "Oh, you got 10 or 15 years out in the field, or you could end up getting hurt and then become a salesman." And I was like, that doesn't sound. I mean, he didn't say it to be mean or anything like that. He was just saying, that's what happened. And I felt used, and I felt like, I wasn't gonna get it. And I asked for a raise. He said I could change the color shirt. And I told him, "Don't change my color," because foremen used to have light blue shirts, and all the roofers had dark gray shirts. Said I could change your shirt for. I told him, "Don't change my shirt without my pay." And I said, "Yeah, we can't change your pay report right now." So I started to save up my money. I started to look into a book called Business Code and Ethics, and I just started reading. And what it is just basically business code regulations for California. And I was just reading through it, saving my money because I knew I was gonna, it was only a matter of time before I left. Then I was gonna do a repair on a house, and then an electrician who worked for himself as a contractor, he said, he's like, "Hey brother, why do you work for this company?" And because I need the money. like, but you're a good roofer. You just fixed my house in like 10 minutes. Why don't you work for yourself? And I told him, well, I'm studying to become a contractor, but I'm saving up my money because I need a $15,000 bond. So I thought it was to save up $15,000. And I almost had, and I already had it. And then he said, don't spend your money. Just go to school and read the books and buy a bond for like $600, $500, and you can keep all your money. And that's what I did. And that's why I quit. And when I quit, he told my boss told me, Frisky, you shouldn't go. That's what he used to call me, Frisky. He said you shouldn't go just yet because I don't want you to go hungry. And I didn't like how he said it. I felt like he didn't believe me, but it was more of he knew I was gonna go struggling. So he's a great man. We still talk to each other, and I still give him leads, commercial leads, and he gives me a lot of residential leads. So we're still good with each other.
Right. So what specifically motivated you or made you feel like, because I think it takes a special, I think the dumber you are, nothing against you, but I think the dumber you are, the more easier it is to go in business, because I see the people that are smarter, the smarter they are, they're like, oh, this could go wrong, that could go wrong. They look at all the risk, they look at all the costs, and they're scared right out of doing anything on their own. Where I see people that are so dumb, they're like, shoot, I can run a business. My boss is a dummy. I'm smarter than my boss. And so
what happened was I felt there was such a disrespect to me as a tradesman, because it didn't, my job didn't afford me the lifestyle I wanted. Not the lifestyle, like not being greedy or anything like that, but it couldn't afford me vacations. It couldn't afford me to be, purchase a home. I would do my tax. If I did my taxes, they would say you don't qualify to buy a home. So I felt there was something wrong with me being there, because, and I saw it all over the place. People would get hurt, and they'd be sending home. They'd be getting their hours cut, and I know something's wrong, and it's wrong all over the place. But it's more than anything, I felt that I needed to do something for me about it. That's why I really left.
Yeah, totally understand. So when you first started, were you like just solo, or did you start right off the bat with some employees?
I tried to get a couple of guys to go with me. They said they would go with me, and then it was just me. They stopped taking my calls. They left me hanging, which is okay. It's understandable for them to feel scared. And then I just started connecting with a bunch of other people, and then a couple of other people quit, and then they called me and said, hey, if you need a tear-off guy, I'll do your tear-off, and then I have a couple of installers if you need installing. But more than anything, I've always been on the jobs. And I scaled to having like 3 or 4 houses a week done with 2 or 3 crews. But I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. There was a lot of money moving too fast for me, and if things went south, I was the one that had to come back and fix things. So I didn't like growing that fast. With you gotta have some control if you're gonna grow to the point where you can say, okay, I'm gonna get a house and give it to this foreman, and he takes it off my hands. So you can't grow too fast if it's gonna become too much stress. And you've been there, Andy, where you grow too big, and all it is just going to work, and you going through the door and wonder what went wrong yesterday or what you got to fix, and that's a lot of wasted time and energy.
Right. So I'm going to make a quick shout out to my sponsors real quick. This afternoon I was dragging a little bit behind. I'm a little thirsty, so I decided to grab a bang real quick. Oh, wait, that's the wrong bang. This is the right bang. So good energy drink, by the way. My second sponsor I want to say a quick shout out to was caught that off guard, didn't I? Caught you off guard. My second sponsor is the real one is the Top Roof Marketing Group that actually helps me host this podcast. They do all the background work, all the editing, all of the techie stuff that I am not good at. So shout out to them, especially Everardo, who's manning the editing booth right now. So thank you to that team. And if you need any marketing done for you, they are specifically a commercial roofing marketing company. So they don't even mess with residential. So you want somebody that knows a thing or two and has been around for a while, check into Top Roof Marketing. So back to you real quick. What advice would you give to someone who really loves what they do, but they hate struggling financially?
I think it depends where you are in life. If you're a tradesman, if you're a roofer, scale down. You know, if you've had been in business 3 to 4 years and you're struggling keeping 2 to 3 crews busy, scale down. You know, fill up your calendar instead of taking on 2-3 jobs a week. Just take 2-3 jobs a month and just work with a helper. You know, pay him labor wages. He could be the highest paid laborer in the world. You know, making $1,200, $1,500 a week. If you're a great roofer with a little bit of help, you can be an excellent company. You know, a 2-man crew can do 50 squares a week, off and on. If you plan it just right, you know, and you know, that's 200 squares a month, and I'm pretty sure there's guys out there that will be blessed if they can end up with maybe 50 squares a month, you know, because some of these houses are smaller. But you don't have to chase every job you get. You don't have to. Some of these people, you know, I've never met. I get leads from Texas because they own houses here in California. We've never met. They send a check. Just schedule yourself out. Don't stress over, you know, how you're gonna get 30 jobs done in the next month. You know, you could do 30 jobs in the next 3 or 4 months. You know, if you schedule everything now, you don't have to be running around like a chicken without your head. If you start respecting your calendar, you know where you're gonna be at. You know, a few weeks before you're even there. You know, that's one of the things that I struggle with is scheduling myself out, because I'll be the kind of guy that I'm in Norwalk right now, and then they'll be like, "Hey, can you come to Whittier and take a look at the roof?" And I'll be like, "Oh, it's on my way." And you've done that too, Andy. Well, yeah, it's on my way for vacations, and and you pull over, and then your wife's calling you, "Hey, where are you? I thought you were on your way." And you know, if you just say, "Hey, I can't be there today. I'll be there in a couple of days because you got a job to finish up tomorrow," you'll be more stress-free, and also it'll feed your need to do something. So that way, when you have days that you are dead, you can work on your marketing instead of you can block it out for marketing, you can block it out for training, you can block it out for spending time with your family. When I spend time with my family, my phone goes into my bedroom and I just spend time with my family. I won't even be on Facebook.
Right. Good idea. So you mentioned laborers a few minutes ago, and I think you'll agree with me on this, maybe. But if you want to be the star laborer on your crew, like if you are like, "Man, I want to get promoted. I want my boss to teach me stuff." I give you 2 questions. I'm going to give you 2 questions that you can tell your boss that will help you with that. First of all, I would say tell your boss, "Is there anything that I can take off your plate today?" Because usually your bosses they're too busy. They can't do everything. They have 100 things on their plate. And if you say, "Hey, is there anything that I can take off your plate today?" Can you imagine being a boss and one of your guys asking you that, Francisco? What would you think?
I'd be like, "Oh, give it a try." Yeah, but roofers are stubborn. Roofers have this thing that, you know, if you teach somebody, they're gonna take your job. It might be in other trades too, but I know roofers for a fact feel that. But I'll give you the trick of when to do it. When your boss or your foreman is super tired because he's been kicking ass and he's about to hurl, you tell him, get the F off the torch and let me run it. You know, you kind of have to be aggressive and upfront about it, but your foreman will thank you because you're literally taking the torch and just start to be the next one. You know, you can tell them, "That's how I actually learned how to torch. my foreman was about to pass out. I told him, get in the shade, grab a Coke from my lunchbox, and just tell me what to do. And he said, well, either die or keep working.
Yeah.
So he chose to just get a little bit of rest and let me run the torch. It came out crappy as hell, but I'm pretty sure it didn't leak because I did it, years with the company.
I do have to say that the main ingredient right there, though, I think, is you recognized an opportunity.
You have to look for that opportunity.
You have to see that open door and that opportunity, because when he said, man, I feel like I'm going to pass out, you could have been like, okay, well, let's go take a break together.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But you took the initiative and said, you know what, I can finish this mother effort. You go take a break, grab a Coke, and I'm going to give it a try. And I think that separates.
Yeah,
I think that separates
you have to be really proactive about everything. And I have three general rules if you want to make it in anything. And it's show up. If you show up, you'll at least start making money. It's not that hard. And then if you shut up, you'll be told what to do. And then number 3 is do what they tell you to do. And one of the things that roofers tell you what to do is because they're looking out for you. I don't know anybody that wants to see a fellow roofer getting hurt. So when they tell you some things, you really got to do what they're telling you. So you become teachable, and those are the 3 basics that I have for surviving in any job you get. Show up, shut up, and do what you're told.
Yep. And just to finish what I was saying before, the number 2 thing a laborer can say, you said maybe they supervisor's like, I don't want you to take my job. But another way you can word it is there something that I can do to make your job easier? I mean, I know there's a lot of times if you're a foreman or a supervisor, you're like, man, they make my job hard. They don't clean the tools. They don't clean the truck. They don't do this. They don't, they don't check the air pressure in the tires or whatever it is. Like if you're a laborer and you're like, is there something I can do to make your job easier? What kind of manager doesn't want that? And so,
another thing a roofer can do is, or an up and coming roofer can do is invest in yourself. If they don't let you run a gun because they don't want you to run a gun, buy your own gun and buy your own hose. And if there's jams, say you can tell them like, oh, I got my gun, but I can't let you use it. It's mine.
Yeah.
If you want me to run shingles, I'll run shingles. I've been practicing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I did when I was at the company. I would buy all my tools. I would always carry a suitcase that looked like one of those luggages from the airplanes, the mid-sized ones. And they make fun of me, but I had everything there and I had it under lock and key, and nobody would grab anything. I had like 3 knives, and then it'd be like, hey, you got an extra knife to spare? And I tell them not to spare.
Yeah.
They're for me.
Yeah. That's funny how that works. When there's tools sitting there, they want to put them to work. So
yeah.
I get that. So let's switch over to talk a little bit about the future generations, the younger generation that's coming up in the future of our trade, because I think we've got 2 problems on the horizon. First of all, we've got the younger generation that everybody's like, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work, nobody wants to work. Well, really, I think every generation has been saying that about the younger generation for 150 years. My grandpa said it about my dad's generation, and my dad's generation said it about us, So, but I think this generation that's coming up is one of the first generations that are fully, they don't know pre-internet. Like they don't know the time before you could buy stuff off online and instant satisfaction by just tapping the phone and getting what you want. And so physical hard labor is, there's still some people that want to do it, but I think there's a lot less than it used to. So I think that's the number 1 problem. But I think there's another problem that a lot of people aren't talking about. And I read this in a journal about 5 or 6 years ago, is that a lot of the construction trade, specifically roofing, is done by Hispanic labor. And I get it. I work side by side with Hispanic labor. They are fast. They are willing to work long hours. They're great at roofing. This is coming from a white boy. I worked on the farm with a lot of Hispanic people, and they are more serious about their work. But here's the problem: is for a long time we've had first generation people working in America doing roofing, and now they have they're going to start retiring. They're going to start being too old to do it, and I don't see a lot of their younger kids coming into the trade. They're going to want to go on to school, have jobs outside of the construction industry. I'm watching this happen, and I'm seeing this big fallout of that sector of labor. I mean, I don't see a lot of other people filling that void if that group of people start leaving, getting too old to do that. Do you see it as a problem?
No, I see more of an opportunity. And I talked to my workers about this, the few workers that I have. I tell them, they should treat themselves as an independent contractor. And what it is, they can work for multiple companies, and then they can just work for specific jobs. So I see it as an opportunity. I told this to my son. He works as in a loading company, but I told him you got to put in some time before you can start doing what I do, because you need a lot of experience before you jump onto something like this. So I see more of an opportunity. The thing is, a lot of the younger generation got smart and decided to go into marketing. That's why we have all these tons of marketers. They didn't get lazy. They're not lazy. They have a different vision. They can make money off the cryptocurrency.
Sitting at home.
So all they're doing is tracking numbers and seeing what's going up, what's going down, and then they can Uber. So they can do they can basically all the jobs went digital, and that left a lot of the service people shorthanded. So imagine, well, you don't have to imagine. I'm pretty sure someone close to the family who does Uber or Lyft or Uber and Lyft, and they're happy with it. And that's all it is just filling in that need that's gonna feed whatever desire what little desire they have. Is not gonna take much if they can just do it all for a few hours a night, and people will take graveyard shifts to do long distance driving close to the airport. It's just that the newer generation didn't get lazy. They just adapted differently. And the older generation, it's stuck in their ways, and they think like, how is this 1 or 2 year roofing contractor kicking my ass when I've been doing it for 15 years? And what it is they got smart. And then the one, like I'm right in between the older and the younger generation. I consider myself older generation because my foremen were all 60 plus, and a couple of them were ex-con. So they didn't, they weren't soft on me. And then I was fortunate enough to grow up with internet too. So I'm right in between, and people like my age group, a little bit 5 years younger or 5 years older, they seem like they're doing very well for themselves because they're right in between. They got a balance point that they can take from the older seriousness and the younger, adapting capabilities.
Yep. So, yeah, I get that. There's a lot of new people that are coming up. They don't even know any of the old systems. And so, I don't even know a lot of the old, I'm not super familiar with the old hot mop and build up, but yeah, I get where you're coming from. But as the labor force dwindles and there's less and less people each year, but there's more roofs to maintain, the demand is only going to go up, which means I believe that the cost of a labor, like the pay for entry level roofing labor is going to go higher and higher because there's going to be a bigger need for them. So yeah. I really think that the time is important right now, that it's really great for young people to get into the roofing trade, specifically commercial roofing trade right now, because it's going to be one of the higher paying jobs if it isn't already.
18, 19, 20-year-olds, if they're not doing anything with their lives, the trades, any trade, is going to be, a lot of people are willing to take on younger kids, but they don't really want to train them because they still have that feel of losing their job. But if you're a young person, 17, 16, 17, 18, and you have family member or of someone that needs help, sometimes it's just needing an extra pair of hands. You have to see a lot of the problem is a lot of people grow up in certain environments and don't see the opportunity because that's all they've been seeing for 2 or 3 generations. So I was born in Mexico. My parents saw a better future here. So, I worked for a company. I was doing okay roofing, but I saw a better opportunity. And it's not until your vision gets unclouded that you can see the opportunities weren't that far away from you where you can shift into an entrepreneurship, or working for something better for yourself. I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. I consider myself a roof master. And the way I think about it is you can be a laborer and then an apprentice. When you finally find somebody that's willing to teach you, you'll become an apprentice. Then you become a journeyman, trying to learn a lot of the different styles. And then you become a master roofer a roof master when you start teaching somebody and then you see them grow. One of my employees is now a foreman too. And that's what I consider myself as a roof master because I did the whole loop and I can do it all over again. And I've tried to teach so many people and a lot of them, they just don't want to learn. They just get set in their ways.
Yep. And being a roof master doesn't necessarily mean every single system and every detail and everything, because if you come up on a chimney or a skylight detail you've never seen before, you can do it because either the fundamentals of roofing, which is how water drips and how water runs and stuff, or where to go get your answers, right? Like, hey, I can call this guy, or I can call this, get my information over here.
There's a big visual that I like to play in my head. And remember, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Avengers Endgame, when where the Doctor Strange is doing the thing, seeing all the ways it's gonna play out, going left, going back, and that's one of the things that you've probably done this yourself and didn't even realize it. Before you start working on it, you played it in your head like 15, 16 times how you're gonna do it, and then you make it look easy, but you've already did it in your head multiple times.
Yep. Exactly.
Even though you've never done something before, you kind of already had it played out in your head multiple times.
Yep. So you're in California, right? Like,
yeah.
Central California?
Orange County, LA County,
okay.
San Bernardino County. I'm right in between 3 counties.
My sister lived in Whittier for a while. I never visited her, but I do know she lived in Whittier and San Bernardino. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity. We're coming up on 1 hour here, I think. My timer says so. Let me end with give a tip to a guy that might be wanting to start his business, but he doesn't think he has it in him. Or he's waiting for a sign or something. What kind of tip would you give a young guy that especially in this market with what's going on in the country, shortage of materials, maybe he got laid off from a job or whatever, he's struggling. What tip would you give a guy right now that is thinking about that?
If they want to go independent, talk to somebody before you do it. Talk to somebody that's done it. Don't talk to your family or friends or your coworkers. They're not gonna see what you're really trying to do because they're gonna think you're gonna fail. And it's not that they think you're gonna fail because they want something bad to happen to you. They think like that because they don't want something bad to happen to you. It's not done on purpose. It's done out of love. But you have to talk to somebody that's been through it. What has helped me a lot was whenever I would run it at the supply store, I would run into a lot of owners, and I would ask them, like, I started my own roofing contracting. Can I ask you a question? And then they'd say, sure. Would you like to ask me another one? And then I'd be like, oh yeah. And then because I would already ask them the first one, and then they say, well, what would your question be? And I would tell them like, what's one piece of advice? So what I did was I pieced my mentor together from multiple people, and I would tell them like, if you could give somebody that just started off some advice, what would it be? And one that kept recurring was don't grow too fast. Because I would run into ex-contractors and I would ask them, why did you fail? And they would say, I grew too fast. I grew too fast. It imploded. It became a stress. It became a nightmare. I just grew too fast. But that's what they would tell me so I wouldn't fail. But what I did was I was focusing on not growing fast enough. So that actually hurt me. But what I would tell somebody that wants to do their own thing, get a mentor, and they're not that hard to find. You're a mentor, Andy. I know people can reach out to you, get on the phone with you. I went to go visit Dimitri. I talked to Gino in Pennsylvania. Jay Zim in Santa Rosa now. He used to be in Texas and Florida. There's so many mentors out there that are willing to talk to you. But you have to be mature enough to, if they say don't grow too fast, and then you say, okay, I'm not gonna grow fast, and then you go sit on the couch and think you're doing exactly what they're telling you. You have to kind of talk to them multiple times so you're ready and mature enough to actually understand what they really meant. It's kind of like when you're, Andy, don't run, Andy, don't run, Andy, don't run. Okay, and
yeah.
So you have to hear it multiple times so you actually find the meaning of what people are trying to tell you. You know.
So I kind of want to add to that a little bit because don't grow too fast is really a relative term, right? Like that might mean something different to you or different to me.
My first advice would be to get a mentor. It wouldn't be to not grow too fast. It's get a mentor, somebody to show you the ropes, someone to say, hey, this is what you need to do, and you actually kind of have to do it, even though it might make you uncomfortable, but they already know what's going to help you, you know? They're not talking out of greed. They're talking because they've been through it, and they want to see you do well. And it's one of the perks. It's one of the perks that I consider a perk is to see somebody that you give advice, follow your advice, and actually do better because of what you told them, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, but kind of what I mean though is, you might have somebody come on here and say, well, I grew really fast and it didn't hurt me. Like I see people like Kimba and Robbie Garcia. Like their company's only like 3 or 4 years old and they're doing 20 million or something like that. I mean, but maybe they have the talent and the grit and the skill to manage that. Whereas me, I probably on the other side, I grew really slow. It took me 20 years to get to over 2 million, right? So like, but I have met a lot of people that have grown real fast and they're really good salesmen. They're really good at signing contracts. They're really good at getting suppliers on board, and they get behind the paperwork or they don't have enough cash flow. And I get it, but I think each person has a different stomach for how fast they can grow. If you're a 100-mile-an-hour person, that's great. But if you're only a 50-mile-an-hour person and you try to go 100 miles an hour, you're probably going to fail. So like you said, you need to know yourself well. And part of that is asking a mentor to help you to like ask yourself the right questions. I'm dealing with a coach and a mentor right now, and she's not giving me the answers. What she does is she helps me ask myself the right questions. And I actually have the answer inside of me. I just don't know it until I start talking through it, right? Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I should do that.
Not till you're mature enough.
Or no, I shouldn't do that. That's a bad idea. And she's like, I didn't give you the answer. I just asked you the right questions and walk you through it. And so a coach and a mentor I know, I get it. There's thousands of coaches and mentors out there nowadays, right? Like you're bombarded on the internet about every day. Everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to be a roofer anymore. I'm going to be a mentor or a coach. And I get that, but make sure you pick one here's the best way to pick your coach or mentor. Pick somebody that is in a place where you want to be. So, I wouldn't ask to somebody that's in the same level as you are, or, look at somebody that, hey, I want to be where that guy is or do what that guy's doing. Then, and it doesn't always have to be somebody that you're paying. It doesn't have to be somebody with a program.
I pieced my mentor, in my head out of multiple sources. Mike Code, your life feeds, some of Justin's newer stuff, not the older stuff, Justin Woodruff, and just connecting with people that I took serious. Brent Rainier in Canada, Frank T. Albert in I think it's Pennsylvania. You kind of just have to piece. You have all this information and people use it. You have Facebook that will give you access to all these people. Frank T. Albert actually was the one that helped me set up the Google stuff. So, you have to talk to the right people, and you might not like everything about somebody, and you might not consider them a mentor, but you really need it if you want to do well for yourself. Or there's two ways you're going to pay for it: with money or with time. Three ways: money, time, or experience. And experience hurts, and time you can't get it back, and money's cheap if you invested in. Money's expensive if you invested in the wrong thing. So I understand when some people, don't want to pay for a mentor. That's fine. I've taken on multiple trainings for business, and it's not the stuff they teach you. It's how you use it. People will still ask, hey, can anybody help me measure this roof at so and so address? And Roofar does it for either $1 imagery, or you can do the free one. And so it's the tools that are available that people just don't know how to use, or they're too lazy not to learn. Take an hour or 2 hours a day to get some training into yourself, and you'll be the expert in your field, in your area.
Did you know Andy Neer has been using Top Roof Marketing for the commercial roofing division of his business for more than 3 years? If you're not happy with the results you're getting, or haven't looked into all the ways out there to grow your commercial business, take a look at toproofmarketing.com. They can show you solid data to back up the proven strategies they use to get their clients more commercial business year after year.
Yep. So I want to take a moment here, if anybody's still listening to this podcast, if you have had a coach or mentor in the past, doesn't have to be a paid program, but if somebody that you've taken information from and advice and implemented it, drop their name here in the chat, tag them down here, and then, put their name, and then in one word, summarize what they helped you with, whether it was financial, or it was sales, or it was marketing, or it was application, or mindset. Just drop their name and what they helped you with down in the chat, and show them a little bit of appreciation. I think that would be awesome. So, we're rounding up almost an hour here. Thank you for being on tonight at last minute notice.
Just to add a little bit more, some of the stuff you think you might not need it, but it's always important to get yourself educated in stuff that could be totally irrelevant. Like here in California, we don't practice insurance claims, but I do end up finding insurance claims, turning them into retail. The insurance pays like $10K. Hey, if you want to upgrade to this roof, this is what I sell, $15K. And then people end up paying, 1/3 of the roof cost, instead of the full roof. I don't work for the insurance company. I work for the homeowner.
Yeah.
So, always educate yourself. But the other thing is, people will educate themselves constantly, and never put it to use. You have to kind of do baby steps of whatever you're going to educate yourself to. You might lose 10 claims, but then you start learning how to find a way to get the claims paid, But anything you do for yourself is good. It's great, but don't become that person that just studies, super smart person, but never did anything with it. You know, and
I
that's why
see-
you see a lot of.
I see people like that. They go to 4 or 5 conferences a year, and it's like you're in the same spot every year. Like, what do you do with all that information?
And then they start blaming the platforms that these don't work, and you know it's not that they don't work. It's just that people aren't using them. You know, don't be that over motivated underachiever. You know, you want to do it all. You preach all this stuff. I'm not gonna say any names, but you'll see people going live. Hey, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. Go work out. And you know, and they're still, like you said, they're still at the same spot. They go to all the conferences, all these events, and then they don't do anything with it. They just go drink, party, and then they still go back to whatever it is they were doing.
Yep.
So don't be that person. You know, it doesn't matter if you take one training a year, or go to one conference, or as long as you're constantly putting it to use, you could be, you know, an overachiever with just doing very, very little things, you know?
Right. I remember listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. I think it was Gary talking about, you know, or it might have been Jim Rohn talking about when you read a book, you might get very little out of the book, but there might be one sentence or one that gives you $1 million idea. It could be like one paragraph and well, somehow Everardo fell off, and I had to record the rest of the conversation. But thank you for being on tonight. I don't know if your screen went dead or something. I know you don't have the best.
No,
you don't have the best connection.
I had to respond. Okay. I had to respond to the boss.
But thank you for being on tonight. I really appreciate it, and good luck out there in California. I hope you continue to grow, and maybe I'll see you at the Roofing Process Conference in December. Maybe. Are you going?
Yeah, I'll be in December. If you set up your conference, that'll be the second one I go to. I'm very selective where I want to go.
Yep.
I really like the one in Orlando. I didn't like the Window Storm. It's not for me. It might be for somebody else, but it's not for me.
I'm waiting to buy my ticket for Dimitri's conference because I'm waiting for a free ticket. So if Dimitri, if you're listening to this, I'd love both of us would like a free ticket. So if you know, you have any free tickets to give out, we'd be more than happy to take those. But yeah, my conference is going to be for
the only reason I'm going.
Go ahead.
The only reason I'm going is so I can get that equipter that was promised to me last year. You know, I knew I was the winner. But
yeah.
and everybody else too. And I was like, well, that's okay. I'll get it next year.
So you think it was rigged, huh? Might have been rigged.
Yeah, it's a 2020 elections all over again.
So I'll just do a short plug for our conference. We're going to be doing a conference in mid-January. The exact date is not set yet, but we're probably going to be doing in Orlando. But it's going to be a commercial roofing conference called Crew Summit. Crew stands for Commercial Roofers United, and that is the only people that can go to that are going to be the people that are part of the group Commercial Roofers United. So it's a select group of people that we're allowing into that, and it's really like a reunion, a meet and greet of people in that group, and we're really trying to gear it towards, like I said, people that are going to be speaking there are going to be people that mostly have owned a roofing company, have worked in a roofing company, have been boots on the ground in the installation. Not every person, but the majority of them are going to be able to relate to roofers. I don't want a bunch of talking heads at this conference and, salespeople and all this stuff. So I think it's going to be a real good event, and I'm hoping it's going to be unique and special. And so, yeah, check it out. Keep your eyes on that. So thank you for being with us tonight. I'll let you get back to driving and get home. And I just appreciate you being on here on short notice. So drive safe and.
Oh, no problem. I asked for it.
Yeah, that's right. Take it easy.
And just to give you a heads up, I do also have a commercial background, even though I don't install it right now, but I do have a very long, extensive 12 years of commercial under my belt.
You've been listening to the Rocket Roof Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe through your favorite podcasting platforms such as iTunes or Google Play to get the latest episodes as they are launched. For more, please follow us on social media or visit our website at rocketroofshow.com. We look forward to joining you here again soon at the next launch.